In this video, I'm going to show you so many Erin Condren notebooks. I've got basic notebooks, I have guided notebooks, I have work notebooks, we've got different sizes and formats. So if you've ever been curious about Erin Condren notebooks, this is the video for you. Hi, I'm Kristen and I post functional planning videos on my channel. If you're like me and you need a gentle reminder to just keep it simple, please make sure you're subscribed and I'll be right back. So before we get started with this huge Erin Condren notebook haul, I wanted to say thank you to Erin Condren for gifting some of these notebooks to me. Some were gifted, some I purchased. This is just truly a collection of notebooks I've gotten recently, whether they were gifted or purchased. If you want to know exactly which ones were gifted and purchased, just let me know and I can tell you. But I am an Erin Condren affiliate and content creator, and so if you use my links to purchase any of these, I do receive a commission, and I thank you so much for helping to support my family and my channel in that way. So let's get into this video all about Erin Condren notebooks. Notebooks are a really great way to keep your planning simple. Either maybe you just don't need a robust planner with all of the dates and everything in it. Maybe you just need something for to-do lists or to draw out your own layout that works with your brain. Or maybe the things you're planning and tracking aren't based on a calendar schedule and you just need like a guided notebook or journal to help you keep track of all of those thoughts. So I have here so many different notebooks from Erin Condren. These are all different, and I just wanted to show them to you because I know that when you're making a decision for things, sometimes you just want to see a lot more detail than what might be available online, and I hope that this video is a good resource for you whenever you're shopping for your next notebook. So let me just kind of real quick show you what I have. This giant pile here, this is my pile of guided notebooks. Now, they're kind of like journals in a sense that they have a purpose, like a very specific purpose. For example, this one is a line a week journal and it's specific to that topic. This one's a budget planner, that kind of thing. I've got like a menu planner, a book reading log, fitness planners, those kinds of things. Those are going to be your guided journal. So we'll talk about all of these. I'll show you the insides of them as well. This pile here, these are my just basic notebooks. When you think of a notebook, like you just want some lined notebook paper or dot grid or graph or checklists, there's lots of options. So I have here the 5 different layouts that you can choose for a coiled 7x9 notebook. And I also have some A5 notebooks here. And then over here I have just some of the ones that are just like a slightly different format. This is a basic line notebook that has a different construction. And then these are the B6 Slim notebooks. These also come in different layouts, a couple of different layouts as well. And they have that thin paper. So we'll talk about all of these in this video. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to start with the very basic notebooks first, because this is what I think of when I think of an Erin Condren notebook, and the options and the possibilities with a notebook are endless. So let's move the A5 ones off to the side real quick. You can see that my cover says meal prep. This is a personalization that I chose. So I wanted a notebook that I could use to plan out our meals, and I chose this layout, which is called the priorities and notes layout. So you can see right away all of the pages look like this. We have 6 boxes on this side and a lined page on this side. And so for me, for meal prep, I thought it would be good to, I could have the different food I plan to cook that week, and then maybe a shopping list or just notes about certain recipes or whatever over here. I thought that would be a great way to kind of plan the menu. And just, I'm a person that likes to kind of like write things out to develop the thought. So if my kid gives suggestions on like the kind of flavors or what kind of food he's looking for, I can kind of make a note for that. So I thought that this would be a really great layout to help me kind of plan out the food we're eating each day. And then over here, just kind of have my either shopping list, or really for me, I think it's going to be a checklist for the foods I want to cook, because I do try to batch cook a lot of things on the weekend just to save time during the week, and this would be a good place for the checklist. And the reason that I like having it separate from my planner, for example, is that this can stay in the kitchen near my recipe box, but I also do have a recipe notebook that I'm going to show you in the guided section as well. So I haven't tried this yet, but it's just an option. So that's the priorities and notes layout. This is the Daisy Blooms cover on a dot grid notebook. So you can grab the dot grid to just do, I don't know, whatever you do with a dot grid. Very great for tracking, making habit trackers, or just kind of like tracking your sleep hours and that kind of thing. You can also just use it to write in. What I like about this is that it does have that little pop of color over here on this side. I do love Erin Condren for the colors, and so it is nice to kind of get like that alternating little bit of color every now and then. This is a 5mm grid, so it is standard along the lines of other dot grid notebooks you might be familiar with. This would be really great if you wanted to do some bullet journaling, but you wanted a coiled kind of setup instead of a bound book like you normally find with a dot grid notebook. So, and then of course it is that Erin Condren paper that we love so much. Super thick Mohawk paper that's gonna like hold up to lots of markers and gel pens and that kind of thing. So there we go, we have the dot grid. This is a lined notebook and it's just your basic lines. There are 28 lines. This one has the plain logo on it here, but it's just, this is your basic notebook. When you think of a notebook, you've got your just basic line notebook. This is a graph notebook, and on this one you do have that gray logo, but it's on the bottom this time. So you have the graph, and it's just your basic graph notebook, the same way your line notebook is your basic line notebook. And then the last one over here is the checklist notebook. Well, I think they call it the productivity layout, and it is this updated one. They used to have a productivity layout in the past that was all one lined page here, and then you had the checklist down the side over here. So they've updated it, and now we have some different checklists, and this one's really fun. You have a basic lined section here, and then you have 2 columns of checklists here. This is a lined section on this side, and then we have the checklist over here with like a note space, and then you have the color, which does alternate, which I think is just a nice touch, because someone like me, I really do love the color like I mentioned before, and so even just for like a basic notebook, this kind of thing is just fun when I just need to scribble out notes or something. Yeah, so I really love this. So these are your 5 basic notebook layouts that you can get when you're grabbing a notebook from Erin Condren. All of these layouts are available in both the 7x9 size and the large 8.5x11 size. And just like with Erin Condren planners, you can personalize your cover to have it say your name or whatever you want on it. You can also upgrade your coil. You can grab a gold coil or a rose gold coil if you just really want that extra bit of personalization there. They also all come with a sheet of stickers coiled in, and I really like these stickers. They're just basic appointment labels, and even if you don't use these in your notebook, these will fit in your planner nicely. So these are our basic notebooks from Erin Condren that you can just use for anything, but options are endless. I originally grabbed the graph notebook so that I could plan out my garden. Like I said, I have the priorities notebook to use for menu planning. My lined notebook here, I have a gajillion of these, and I will never ever run out of ideas for them. I am currently using this notebook as a pen test notebook, which I used to use a smaller notebook in the past, but I am moving everything. It's almost full, and so I decided to kind of change how I'm doing my pen testing, and I am starting it in this book. So we have the line notebook that I'm using for that. I did grab the dot grid for, I'm thinking I might in the future try to see about drawing out some layouts in here, some like different kind of planning layouts, but I haven't gotten around to that yet. But if you're interested in something like that, subscribe so you don't miss it, and then make sure you tell me in the comments, and then I can bump it up on the priority of making that video if that's something that interests you. Okay, so let's move on. These kind of fit in between the guided notebooks and the regular notebooks, and they're more like work notebooks. So I have the appointment book here. I also have a meeting notebook, but when I was prepping for this video, I couldn't find it. I don't know where I left it, and it's very similar to the appointment notebook. So the appointment notebook has on the left side this layout here where we have a spot for the date and the time of the appointment, and then how you participated in the appointment, whether it was in person, virtual, or over the phone. And then this is like what the appointment is for and where the appointment was, and then who was the appointment with. You have a spot here that you can prep before your appointment to make sure you're remembering those questions that you have that you want to ask. And then down here you have the spot that starts the appointment notes section. And then that continues over here to this side. And then at the bottom we have this little next steps, like action steps area, which I really like. So this is really great for health appointments, but I have actually been using it personally as a meeting notebook. Even though I have a meeting notebook, this one just kind of works a little bit better for the types of meetings that I attend, so that's kind of what I've been using it for. The other thing that is great about this appointment notebook is that it comes with undated monthly calendars at the front with tabs on them so that you can schedule out all of those appointments, and then when you're at an appointment you can flip to the month you need to go to and easily schedule out the next one. The appointment notebook does come with some stickers in the back, as well as these are like the same kind of coiled in stickers you're going to find in the planners. And then there's also a double-sided pocket folder, which is really great because you can kind of corral all those handouts and pamphlets and different things that are important to those meetings and appointments, and it's just all in one nice little handy thing. Here I have a little snap-in mini bookmark because that's helping me keep my space for the most recent meeting that I am reviewing my notes on. So the other work type notebook I have here, this is the project notebook. This is called the monthly project notebook. It has a spot for your project and any details about that project, and then some important dates you might need to remember. And then there are 5 columns, and all of the columns are the same, and it's basically for a month for that specific project. Everything that's going on for this project for the whole month, and you have 5 weeks. And so in each column you have a spot for the week, and then the status of the project in that week, and then what you're focusing on for that week. You've got like the notes section for that, and then you have a checklist section here for everything that you need to do for that project for the week. So what's really great is that you can see your project. So you can either decide ahead of time when you're setting up this project what you're going to do each week, or you can leave it blank and then have like a project review and then fill out the next week so that you know what to focus on. And then you can flip and you have 4 lined notes pages that you can use for any kind of notes or anything you need to take regarding that project. And then there's another spot here where either you can continue in the next month of that project, or maybe this is just a different project. So that's how this whole notebook is laid out. Again, this is that monthly project notebook. Now the monthly project notebook does have a pocket folder and some stickers in the back as well, but I think this is an older version. I think that the newer version has 1 sheet of stickers inside that are like the appointment label style stickers. So these are the kind of work notebooks, and then just remember, if you want to see the meeting notebook, that is down below, linked in either the description or the comments, or both. Now let's move on to these guided notebooks here. These ones are really handy and really just kind of like what makes Erin Condren special, because any of your interests or needs are going to be covered in these kinds of things. So here I have the budget planner, and this is a vegan leather cover, and this is the champagne one. And so it's just really nice and just feels really luxurious, and it says budget planner there stamped with the gold foil. And here you have a lot. So we have a how to use this planner section, and I think what I will do is try to get this all in frame, and then if you really wanted to read this to see if this is something that is going to work for you, maybe you can pause it, and I'm sure you can zoom in or something. So that is the budget planner. And then we go into like where you're going to check in with your finances. There's lots of prompts here to help kind of guide your check-in. And then you turn the page and you have your annual spending tracker. So this is similar to the 12 boxes that we have in the life planners. And you can just kind of figure each month, and since this is undated, you can start where you are now. You don't have to wait for a new year to get on track. There's all kinds of ideas up here at the top. This is where we're going to turn and go into the monthly section. So we have a lot of tabs here. And so the tab here for this month, we have the different financial dates and deadlines. Maybe that's bills due, like when you're closing on something, when you need to have a payment by, that kind of thing. Financial goals, action steps, restock on and larger purchases. I really like the restock box because in my mind we would be using this for all those like larger household goods that you kind of buy in bulk. Paper goods, pet food, medicines, those kinds of things that you're not buying every week. So they don't necessarily get put in your weekly like spending and grocery budget. But here is a place to keep track of it so that when you are kind of figuring out how much money you need for everything and when you need that money, it's here. Like you can review the whole planner and see, oh, usually every 3 months I run out of XYZ and I need to make sure to budget that in. So there's that. And then we have the big picture overview of that month, spot for income and bills. And then there's some blank spots here for you to tailor it to your specific financial needs. We have a spot for savings, debt, and then the totals and everything down here at the bottom. Then we go into the weekly spending, and you have a page for each week. There's 6 pages worth like this, which we have a date, description, category, total, balance column. And then this is where the new month starts. And so each month is just a different color, but it's the same layout of pages. And then we get to the last month. And at the end here, we have a 12-month check-in. So these are the last of those weekly spending pages for that month. And then we have your 12-month check-in at the end of that 12 months. And you have more prompts here so that you can kind of see how you've grown, what your challenges were, and that kind of thing, and just learn about your own financial journey to help you make better decisions in the future. More prompts here. And then you have a section for trackers. So this is your savings tracker, and we have 8 pages of savings. And basically this is like things that you might be saving for, like specific things like a vacation, a home renovation, a down payment, that kind of thing. So you have what is it for, what is the goal, the amount you're trying to save, and when do you need to do that by. And then this is where you can log all of the deposits that you're making that are going toward that goal. And that's really cool. That's like a really good way to see the progress that you're making. And then we have the section for debts or payment plans. And so each page says total owed, the interest rate, starting balance, and minimum payment. And then you have date, amount paid, and balance. So there's 4, 6, 8 of those. And then this is your special occasion budget tracker. So your graduation parties, your weddings, those kinds of things, maybe even a big special vacation, family reunions, those kinds of things. You have your occasion, the budget, and then the maximum budget, because these things tend to go over budget. So this is just like, we cannot go over this budget. And then you have date, description, estimated, and actual. So this is going to kind of help you plan those events. We've got 2, 4, 6 pages of those. And then we have some fun little budget stickers back here that are just, you know, stickers are fun. So that's what all of those stickers look like. And that is the end of the budget planner. This is our line a week journal. And this is really great for someone who's just getting into journaling, or maybe someone who loves journaling but is finding themselves a little too busy in the current season of life. Or maybe you just want to track a specific journaling about a specific thing, such as having a baby or something like that. So this is how to use the line a week journal. And this is kind of like the annual pages in the front, where it's talking, where you have a spot for each year. So this is for a year, this is for a year, this is a year, and this is a year. So this says how I want to use the journal this year, what I'm looking forward to, and a message to my future self. And then you have your year at a glance so that you can see what dates everything is happening all the way through to 2030. And then you go into the actual like perpetual calendar for the month of January. This might be where you put things that happen every year, no matter what, birthdays, anniversaries, that kind of thing. And then you have your monthly intentions for each year of that month for January. So it says 20 here, so you would write like 2025, 2026, 2027, and then you write what your intentions are that year when you're setting that up. And then you have this here, and this is where you have your like line a week for each of the years. For January, the colors correspond to the colors of your intention boxes. So the red one matches up with the red one here. And this is the week of January for that year. And you have a lot. So there's so many ways you can use this. And you can just write a sentence about the thing. And then you have enough for the whole month. And then you have a recap. So in the beginning you had the intentions, and then at the end of the month you have the recap, where you can write how did it really go. And then that's just, it goes through the whole year like that. And then when we get to the end of the year, we have the like kind of annual recap, where you have a section for each year, and you're just going to go back in and just kind of reflect on how the year went with these prompts. And then you have additional space for notes, additional end of the year reflections, and what I'm proud of, and then that's the end of that. So that's just a fun little way that you can kind of like look over your life all in one book for like a long period of time. Really fun idea. I think even if you didn't want to use this as a journal specifically for yourself, it might be a really good way to plan out your memory keeping, because it just kind of will give you a spot to just kind of note those things that you want to keep track of, so that later when you're putting together your memory book and you're going through all your pictures, you can just kind of match up the date when you took that picture to what was going on that week, and it'll just really help you kind of figure out what to put in your memory book. That's sometimes can be the hardest part, is just remembering all of those things. So I think that that is a really good use for the one line a week journal. This is the work and life balance journal, which I have some stuff in here already, but this is the work and life balance planner. This comes in a couple of different covers, and the cover that I have on here does not go with it. This is a cover that I added separately. This is, it either comes with like a blue and purple stripes, or there's a beautiful daisy blooms cover available now. This has room for 3 months worth of planning. It's undated, and then you have a section back here for meeting notes. So I've used this, so I'm trying to find a spot that I didn't write on yet so that I can show it to you. Basically, I used a kit from Planner Kate to just kind of date this and just make it look cute, but this was for August. I went ahead and dated it because it is undated, but let me see if I can find one where I didn't use a kit. Here we go. So this is just a basic one. I whited out the days of the week at the top so that I could start it on Monday, and then you just fill out your dates and date it yourself. And then you have these pages here, so it goes right into kind of like a weekly dashboard, and I love this weekly planning layout. This might be a really good option if maybe the daily planner, the daily duo, is a little bit too chunky for you. This is still a nice A5 size. You have 3 months worth of planning in here, and you have a week, and you have some spots for notes and checklists and habits, and then you go into each day, and then the days up here are already dated like with a perpetual calendar, and so you can go ahead and circle the date that you're working with or highlight it, and then you have 2 columns here that you can use for life and work, and then a gratitude section. So there's so much packed into this little layout here, and you have 7 days worth of those daily pages before you get to the next week, and you have that for all of your months. And then again, we have the meeting section in the back, which is your meeting topic, your spot for your date, the attendees and the objective, and then notes, and then next steps down here. So this is, I think it's really great if you're just trying to keep track of things for work, but also you need to remember things for your life too, like maybe appointments or something going on with your kids or whatever, and this is a really great option for that. And again, this is the work-life balance journal. Here we have the older style cover for the Book Lovers reading log and journal, but this is also available in a new cover that's kind of like more neutral with some stripes and gold foil as well. But let's look at what is included in the Book Lovers reading log and journal. And this has, here's the main page here on how to use it. And here we have a spot for your reading goals, and you have a spot for 8 goals for reading. This is very robust. This is, I love reading and I do have reading goals, but this is kind of this is more than I need personally for my hobby of reading, but I know that there's people that love reading and have social media accounts dedicated to it. You can just put your goals and how you're going to celebrate your goals. And so if the reading goals are super important to you, that this stuff is very important for goal setting. And then you have a daily reading tracker. So you just pick whatever date you're starting in, and you have enough days to check off for the month, and that's worth 2 years worth of trackers. And then you go into the different sections. So this tab is about each book. So this is where you're actually going to take notes on the book you read. I didn't write on this page, but I did use it. So we have the different books read. You have a spot for all of your information about the book, the title, the author, when you started it and finished it, the format of the book, how long your book was, the genre, like why were you reading it, was this recommended by somebody, all of those details you might want to know. Here's what you thought of the book, here's your favorite part. This is just like a space to jot down anything that is memorable to you while you're reading, and then the takeaways from the book, and then of course you have your star ratings up here at the top. And there's enough room for a lot, so tons and tons of space for books here. And then the next tab is book club. So I'm going to try to find one that's blank. So this is our book club meeting notes section, and so when you go to book club you have a spot to record your notes, or just a spot so that you can take this with you so you remember what you want to talk about regarding that book. And then the next section is all of your favorite books. This is like your lists, like your to be read, the books you love, the books that you want to read. So I have my to be read list, I have favorite books, that kind of thing. And then at the end, this is what it looks like. So again, just a nice fun little reading book. This would be really great for if you have a friend who loves reading. This is such a good gift, I think, for that. Book talk is huge right now, so if you have young people in your life that you need gift ideas for, I feel like the reading log is a safe bet for that. This is the fitness planner, and I have it customized with my name on it here. And it just says "You got this" on the front in gold foil, and it's very simple. This is the fitness planner. So I plan to take this with me to the gym. Yes, I have a phone with apps and all that kind of stuff, but there's just something about writing things down that works better for me in my brain and feels more satisfying, and anything that I can do to encourage me to continue on with taking care of my body is good. So what I like about this one is that it's fitness. It's not health overall, so there's no food tracking in this, which I am not a food tracker. So all of that kind of stuff tends to be a little too much for me and my needs. And so this one is specific to fitness. And that is what I love about it. So you have your check-in at the beginning with lots of prompts, and then you have your goal setting guide here, and then you go into, you have 4 months of fitness tracking. And it starts off with an undated calendar, and then over here on the sidebar it's nice because you have where you can write what your goals are for that month and the rewards that you're giving yourself that month. And then this is what all of the pages look like. You have a spot for the date, and then you have your workout. You have a spot for 9 different exercises. So you might like do squats, lunges, flies, dips, those kinds of things. You would have 9 of those, and then you have room for 5 sets, and then it's broken up even further into reps and weight, so you can say how many reps you did in that set and what your weight was, because that's very important for tracking so that you can see the progress that you need to make. And then over here we have another section for cardio type movement, and this is like your intensity, your time, and your distance if applicable. And then just a spot for more tracking here. Now this tracking is how you felt, what kind of self-care did you do, your water intake steps and hours slept, and then your today's win. So this is definitely the health tracker for me as somebody who does not track my food intake. I'm not counting calories or macros or anything like that. And so this is perfect for me. And you have 4 months worth of that, and each month is a different color. So you have like, you had the like melon color, then we have like maybe like a strawberry kind of coral color. This is more of like a fuchsia magenta, and then this is like a iris bluish purple. At the end of each month, you'll notice that you have like a monthly check-in over here, which matches the previous month, and then you have your goals for the next month, which matches the next month, which I think is a really nice touch. And then at the end here, you have at the end of that 4th month, you have your check-in, but then instead of the next month, you have your celebrations, celebrating the progress and everything. And then you're going to have a notes section just for any of the things you just need to write down. Maybe there's like, I don't know, specific workouts you want to list out or something, and you could easily flip to those while you're working out. So that's the fitness planner. I think that one is so much fun, and I really hope that I can motivate myself to use it. My son and I have plans to work out at the gym together this summer. He's very good at going to the gym. He goes 4 days a week after school, and he loves it, and he has a good time, and he invited me to come with him this summer so that he could keep up with his habits, and I want to support him in that, so it's kind of good for me to get me motivated to actually work out, since he will need a ride to the gym, so I might as well work out too. So anyhow, that is my fitness planner, and hopefully you'll see this around this summer on my social media. Next, we have the self-care notebook with these fun flowers on the cover. This is how to use this notebook again. And then on the next page, you have some more reading about self-care. And then we have the check-in at the beginning with some prompts, and this is a good spot to work self-care that works for you. And then here we have, you are always worth taking care of, and then this is where you're setting your intentions for the month. And you have 4 tabs here, they alternate in color, and this is your self-care intentions, and a spot for habit trackers. You have a weekly layout here so that you can kind of plan out self-care tasks and such for the week. This might be for a whole year, actually. I didn't look at this too closely. I didn't realize as I was flipping through it. I think each section is a quarter of the year, because we have, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. And then after those 5 weeks, you're able to talk about how this month went, and then you're going into the next month, which is not tabbed, but it looks like you have just like a slightly different color, and you have 5 weeks again. and then how this month went. Okay, so it's actually going to be for the whole year. So that's really good that the whole year will fit in here. And maybe you would use this kind of as a planner. There's not a monthly calendar in here, but maybe if you're making self-care a priority this year, this might be like a nice little A5 size weekly planner that you can use. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so then we have all year, and then what happens at the end? At the end, we just finish, I guess. And then this is your 12-month check-in, how my self-care is going. Okay, so this is self-care that's working, that's not resonating, and then just a lot of prompts for journaling about the year. And then, oh, these are really pretty stickers. This is nice. This kind of reminds me, is this the Flora artwork from a long time ago? Or maybe it's Wildflowers. I think it's Flora, actually. Anyway, these are really pretty stickers and colors here, so that's fun too. So that's like a really fun little notebook, and I think that might make a really good, very simple, basic A5 weekly planner if you don't need those monthly calendars. I don't know, just something to consider. This is a goal planner, and this says, let your actions reflect your goals. And I just think that's a really cute cover. We have a gold coil on it, the goal setting planner. So here's your page on how to use this planner and also to connect with your why. And then you have your guide to goal setting, which is so important. If you grab this for goal setting, make sure you're reading this. This will really help clarify that kind of goal setting process for you. And it's just like the stuff that you're going to do at the beginning before you sit down to set those goals so that you can kind of be informed about what your goals need to be. And then you have a spot for 5 goals, and the tabs here actually say goals 1 through 5. So let's go in to our goal section, and you'll see here that we have, this is the overview of your goal and everything, all the details, and then here's your spot that you're going to plan out your goal. And then these are all of your action steps you're going to take for your goals. And then you have a weekly check-in on each page here so that you can follow up with the goals that you're setting for yourself to make sure you're adding things in. I could see this as being a really good sidekick to your planner, where you're going to check this when you sit down to make your weekly plans. You kind of sit down and fill out all the stuff at the beginning at first, and then all of the goals, however many goals you have. Oh, we have 6 goals. I missed that. There's a 6th one back there. You fill this out, and then each week when you sit down to do your weekly planning, you look here and see what steps you need to make sure you're adding into your planner. So you have lots and lots of weeks for each one. And then at the end of the goal, that section for that goal, we have some reflections for that goal specifically. And then it's basically the same for all of them. It's got this nice color blends situation going on that kind of matches back to the tab. So, you know, you can see how the color blends from one to another. And here's goal 6 is this color. And then at the end, you have a reflection section. So this is kind of like all of your accomplishments as you go through the year, working on your goals. Write all your accomplishments here. And then you have some more journaling prompts on these pages, just to kind of help you in your goals and how you want to move forward with goal setting. And then some fun stickers back here too. I really love these. These look like the kind of like the older style Erin Condren art that we love so much. I think that this would make a really fun little sidekick to your planner. Okay, and then so those are the A5 sized guided journals that I have. And now I have a couple of 7x9 size that I want to show you. And we have here, these are more like home-based things. So we have the Home and Sort organizational planner, and then we have the recipe notebook. So let's start with the Home and Sort book, the front pages of this book, and then all of your tabs here are specific to different things you're going to be doing when you're organizing your home. So instead of it being laid out by the month, which there is monthly planning in here, you're kind of dedicating a month to each topic. And so you can pick the order you're going, and then of course it says right here, these are the topics that are on those tabs. And then each section is going to have information on what you might need for that section. And then you have an undated monthly, and then you have your weekly action plan. So this is kind of like, maybe if one of your goals is to get your house organized and decluttered this year, this would kind of take you through the whole year of doing that. And there's tips and everything. So it's really a nice way if you just don't want to think about figuring out how you're going to do this big task. This notebook will kind of walk you through that, and it has basically like your whole game plan in it. There are some matching labels here that have some little home related icons on them. And then you have a double-sided pocket folder for all of those loose things that you need to take care of. And so that's the Home and Sort organizational planner. And then this is the recipe notebook. This one is broken down the way a cookbook would be. So you have all of your basic like cooking info here, like kitchen conversions. And then the stuff at the beginning is kind of fun because it's like, it's a good spot to write down all of those meals that you know everybody likes or that work out really well during like events or things like that. And so it's just kind of gets all of that information out of your head. And then the next time you say you're invited to a potluck, you can kind of just look at this instead of having to remember the things that have worked out really well for you before. But you've got favorite recipes. There's spots for 4 people, like you can write the person's name there. Like I can write Kristen's favorites and my son's favorites, husband's favorites, that kind of thing. So that you just remember who loves what, so that you're making sure to get like a good mix of everybody's favorites. Or if you're making them a meal for their birthday or something celebratory, you can check their list and just kind of make sure that they feel loved through the food you cook for them. And then we have other favorite recipes here, just for basic things, like just everyday things, like weeknight go-tos, quick and easy winners, make ahead, and fancy meals. And then we kind of have, so we have the line section, and then this is where we go into the recipe pages for each of our food type. So we have appetizers, side dishes, entrees, desserts, and then just more recipes. And this is what the recipe pages look like. So the whole thing is this, and you have your basic recipe format here, servings, prep time, cook time, and then just some categories and things for checking off, a spot for ingredients, and then a spot for your directions for how to cook it. So just kind of like your basic recipe card style, just in a notebook. And then that is the same for each of our food sections here. And then we have the more recipes, which is the same. In the back of the more recipes section, we have a spot for longer recipes. So whenever you're filling things out in these sections, and you know that one of the recipes is going to be longer, just remember there's spots in the very back for that. And then we have the double-sided pocket folder. I also have some A5 sized plain notebooks like we had at the beginning. These are both lined notebooks, but I just wanted to show you that you can get this available in the vegan leather cover, with the option to personalize it with the imprinted foil initials there. So it's your basic line notebook with some stickers in the back. And then I have, this is the A5 notebook that's available with the interchangeable covers. And of course you can personalize these as well. And then these are available with lines. And then you can also order interchangeable covers so that you can keep these fresh and nice. This notebook is going to be used for updating an old video that I have where I'm making weekly layouts in an A5 lined notebook. Just showing you how to do that, some different options and measurements for both monthly and weekly layouts. So I'll link that video, and just know that I'm planning on updating it now that we no longer have weekly layouts for the A5 size in the life planners. I thought it might be a good time to update that video and just show you how you can continue to use the A5 size for weekly planning. The very last bit of stuff I have to show you here are these kind of like different format notebooks. This one is a flexible like paper cover with a plastic coil. There are a few different options for these, and you can see that it is like a metallic here, and then this is what the inside looks like. The top has some color and it matches back to the coil and the cover. These are handy little notebooks I just like to have on hand for planning things. I just always have a notebook around, so these are just handy to kind of have, and they're slimmer because they have the plastic coil. Even though the coil is plastic, it is sturdy. It's not going to bend. Like, it can go in your bag and it's not going to get crushed. Like you can see, I'm manhandling it pretty bad and it just looks the same. So this is a better option. It's more affordable than your other large notebooks from Erin Condren, but it's still better quality than the kind that you're going to get from, like, say, the grocery store. So if you wanted something that was a little more affordable, that can stand the test of your book bag or your purse or tote bag or something, I think this is a really good option for that. And then these are the B6 Slim notebooks. So you can get these in a variety of different cover designs, and there's two layouts. So this is what the regular lined notebook pages look like, and you have the perpetual calendar over here on the side and the asterisk detail on this side. And then this one I think is called the priority and graph, and so or maybe it's productivity and graph. So you have on the left side here, you have checklists. You have 3 like notes box spaces, and then you have checklists, and then a blank box here. And on this side, it's all graphs. So it's so versatile. You can use this however. You can get it in these fun cover options, or there are some more simple options such as the asterisk. All right, so that is it for this huge haul of Erin Condren notebooks. I hope it was helpful to help you kind of make a selection of what notebooks would be right for you, and let me know in the comments if you saw anything that caught your eye and that you're interested in grabbing, or is there a notebook layout that you just really want to see that I didn't show in this video? I'm happy to make a follow-up and purchase that to show you. Or just for fun, is there a notebook layout that Erin Condren doesn't currently have that you would love to see? I'm just so curious, and I love talking about notebooks and stationery and Erin Condren, so let's continue the discussion in the comments. Anyhow, that's it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you really liked it, please consider subscribing, because I do post functional planning videos on my channel, and if you liked this one, you'll probably like those ones too, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.